Hello and good day, everyone. Welcome back to the show. My name is Sean David. Thanks for tuning in. In today's episode, we got a very, very special guest in the house. She played the most beautiful Terminator in Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines, Kristanna Loken. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Sean. I'm very happy to be here.
Wonderful. Now, Kristanna, before you even got involved with the Terminator 3 movie, you did a lot of action stuff, especially in the 1990s, like, for example, the Mortal Kombat series. And I was curious about, when you started your career, did you know that action would be basically your thing for many, many years to come?
No, is the short answer, not in so many words. I really didn't. I think action was a genre that found me. I have a dance background. I've always been outdoorsy, athletic. I grew up on a fruit farm, and learning fight choreography really lent itself well to learning dance choreography. So to me, it just made sense. And being a athletic person, it suited me, and it suited my physique. I'm almost 6 feet tall and had a certain body type, and it just worked well together, I guess.
Nice. Now, when the Terminator 3 movie was announced, it was such a big hype around the movie because everybody loved Terminator 1, everybody loved Terminator 2, so everybody wanted to see the new Terminator movie. When was the first time that you heard that you had a shot at landing the part?
It was an audition that came through my agent, like any other, except it wasn't any other. I thought, you know what? This is the role for me. Because of my height, deeper voice, certain parts that maybe had attributes that had worked against me in the past, I thought this is a role where all of that can work in my favor. And I had been a big fan of Robert Patrick in Terminator 2. And I just thought his performance was incredible. I mean, I didn't see any human there. I saw this machine. And he just stayed in my mind as inspiration. So, I just went on this journey of various auditions. I think probably upwards of 8 to 10 auditions for that role. And they were very physical, running, jumping, ducking, looking, punching, kicking, that type of thing. And as you'd mentioned, I'd already done some action on the Mortal Kombat Conquest series and other things. So it was familiar to me. And then with Robert Patrick in my mind as inspiration, it just went from there.
It's funny that you mentioned that with Robert Patrick, because that also would have been one of my questions. Your description of his performance is 100% accurate. You don't see any human in him. But you managed to do exactly the same. Like, when we talked before the interview, I told you that you had this combination of, on the one side, being this beautiful woman, but on the other side, being this terrifying, mean machine. How did you manage to get this face expression, even any humanity in your eyes? How did you get that? Did you have some training in face expressions and stuff? Because I can't imagine that this is part of your typical acting classes.
No, it's definitely not part of the usual training. So I did extensive training myself to really layer that character. I did weapons training. I worked with the Los Angeles Police Department to know how to use the .45. I did weight training. I had a nutritionist. I put on about 15 pounds of muscle mass. I got my body fat down to that of an Olympic athlete.
Wow.
And the icing on, I did Krav Maga, which is Israeli martial arts. Teach their military. And the icing on the cake was really the brainstorm of Jonathan Mostow, the director, which was a mime coach. So I worked with a protege of Marcel Marceau, and he and I worked with, using different energy forces against different metals and things that I would come in contact with. So there was a certain rigidity in the body and like one step apart from really yourself. So that helped enable not blinking while firing a weapon or showing exertion while running, things like that, other than just having to be in the best physical shape of my life. But all of those different layers really led itself to the end result.
It's unbelievable how much work goes into playing a robot, so to speak. How difficult it is to get this down on point. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's a lot of work that you get that end result, as I said, of that lack of that devoid of humanity.
Yes. You were in your mid-20s when you guys shot the movie. And in all honesty, how terrified were you? Because I feel like there must have been so much pressure to perform in this movie. First of all, it's a super high budget movie. It's with Arnold Schwarzenegger, who has this huge fan base, and people expect a great movie with him. Then of course, you got to follow Robert Patrick, who did this incredible performance. And you are still in your mid-20s. Was it easy for you to shoot the movie, or did you feel the pressure?
Great question. Yeah, actually, I was 22 when we shot the movie. And, I love a good challenge. And there was I do well under pressure. It's kind of my thing. Maybe I shine a little bit under pressure, but it was like, I'm going to show you, because everybody was wondering, who is this woman that they've cast to fight this male iconic figure of cinema history? So there was, and it was like, I remember when I was auditioning for the job, the Olympics was on, and I love the Olympics. I love athleticism, and I love the human stories that what takes those people, those great athletes, to that moment in their life. And I started the training as soon as I heard about the audition, and I felt like I was doing my own personal Olympics. And with that inspiration in mind, I just wasn't going to let anything stop me.
Very, very impressive. I know if I was 22, or when I was 22, and I also love challenges, but this is, something pretty big. But hey, very good job. Now, the Terminator franchise, especially when we talk about the first 3 movies, they are known for very, very well-written and very strong female characters, which I personally love. Linda Hamilton, for example, in the first 2 movies, I think she did a sensational job. Then you being in Terminator 3. When did you find out that Linda Hamilton was not going to be part of that movie? Because that would have been 2 very strong female characters going head to head. That could have been something very, very special.
Yeah, you're right. And thank you. Linda was not on board from the beginning. So there was no surprise that she wasn't going to be a part of this. Her character, Sarah Connor, is not in the script. Of course, she's mentioned and implied, but she was never there. And I love Linda. I'm just going to start out by saying I was flying up to Vancouver from LA to do a job. And I've worked a lot up in Vancouver. They shoot so much there. And I'm sitting down in my seat, and I look up, and the woman who's getting ready to sit down next to me, and I'm like, that's Linda Hamilton. So I introduced myself, and it was not that long after T3, maybe couple few years at most. And we talked nonstop for the entire, 2-hour flight, and
nice.
just had a great time. And then turns out we were even staying at the same hotel. So, and I've had the pleasure of knowing Linda through the years, and doing conventions with her, et cetera, and Terminator reunions. And she is just a wonderful human with the biggest heart.
And she's super funny.
She is funny. Yeah, she's clever. Yeah.
Do you remember when you first saw the movie Terminator 3? Like, did you see it before the premiere? Did you see a Raw cut before, or was the premiere the first time you actually saw the movie?
That's a very good question. Trying to remember. No, I believe that I had seen the film, before then, but the premiere in LA was just massive. I mean,
yes,
it was,
I can imagine,
the largest budgeted film to date, and it then became the highest grossing film to date at that time. So the scope, and then, it was that premiere in LA, and then we took the Sony jet, and that night flew to Tokyo, and so we could be there in time for the premiere there. And then it was just a worldwide stage of premieres for Terminator. So I think the scope of it really hit me at that first screening or first premiere.
Yeah, I can imagine. Now, the movie is almost 20 years old, which is, it just proves how fast time flies. Unbelievable.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Looking back at the movie, if you could change one single thing, what would that be? Honestly.
Another great question, but, I don't think I'd change anything. I think that in life, whatever we do, whether it's difficult, challenging, rewarding, hard, or all of it, is part of our learning curve. And we become better people through that process. And everything that I learned, because I knew, I was going to be working with the best of the best. The guy sweeping the set was the best guy that could sweep the set, and I was very aware and grateful and humbled, yet I felt ready to be there. And that whole process, and like you were talking about before, and the pressure and everything, and just saying to myself, I'm going to be the best that I can be in this moment, and accept that, was enough.
Very, very interesting. Okay. It's kind of funny. Like, usually when somebody says he wouldn't change a thing, I always think, really? But I believe you. You really sounds 100% genuine.
Yeah.
Oh, I wish you would have. Anyway.
What? Right. No, you can't say that and then not say it.
Okay. I really believe, and I love Terminator 1, I love Terminator 2, and I love Terminator 3. And after that, it's a mixed bag. Some movies are okay, solid, but not as great as the first 3 movies. And if I could have changed one thing in Terminator 3, I would have changed the ending. And I felt that it would have been nice if your character wasn't killed completely, because I felt that just like Arnie returns in Terminator 2, there could have been a way how they could have ended the movie in a way that your Terminator could have been in another movie, because it's a time traveling movie, so everything is possible. And why couldn't your character return for Terminator 4 and Robert Patrick as well? The possibilities, especially with time traveling movies, the possibilities are endless. And I feel when the movie would have had a different ending, the doors would have been a little bit more open for you to come back, because I felt your Terminator performance was just that good. It's a waste to just have it in one movie. Just like with Robert Patrick, my honest opinion.
Well, thank you, Sean. I definitely appreciate that. But it's interesting because my take on the ending with TX was that you didn't really know, in that vein of what you're speaking of, because it's time travel and it's sci-fi, if she was really dead or not. So I oftentimes have fans that say, like, well, are you going to come back? Are you going to do another one? You know? I don't know. So I guess it's up to the viewer's impression.
All right. Now, you kept yourself pretty busy, and acting is not the only thing you do. You also have a company. Is there anything you can tell me about your company?
Yes, indeed. My company is called Trio Entertainment, and we are an independent film studio, among many other things. We co-produced a film that was in theaters here in October called A Mouthful of Air, that starred Amanda Seyfried and Paul Giamatti, which is now streaming.
Wow.
And then we are in pre-production on our next film, which is called Vice and Virtue. Now, Vice and Virtue are celestial beings that come down to Earth, and they impose this judgment day, if you will, on about half a dozen people that find themselves in an undisclosed location. So this story unravels choices and decision making. And coming out of COVID, or still through COVID, we have been faced with choices and decisions like never before. Do I go there? Do I not go there? Do I see this person? Do I not see this person? Like under a microscope. So I am dedicating this film to every person who's ever made a choice. Well, who hasn't, right? So we look at how certain choices take us one way and certain choices take us another way. This film also underscores discrimination, racism, sexism, ageism, and a lot of the social concepts that we've been dealing with today. So I really feel like it's going to be a timely film that people can really relate to.
When did you make the decision that acting wasn't the only thing you wanted to do? Because especially when you are a successful actor, it's easy to rely on that profession and be an actor for the rest of your life and only do that. When did you decide, hey, I also want to do more. I want to do more. I want to be involved with making movies.
Yeah. Gosh, I think probably it started around 25 when I produced my first film called Lime Salted Love. And from there was an inspiration behind being the conductor of the orchestra and being the one that put together all the moving parts of the film and making those creative choices and really doing the projects and the content that I was passionate about. I mean, sure, you can be a gun for hire and you can find great things out there, but sometimes you really want to give voice to your own sentiment.
Yes, makes absolute sense. Kristanna, I don't know what to say, but thank you so much for taking the time. I really, really appreciate it. And I'm actually, I will say it on air because why not? Before the interview started, I told Kristanna that I'm never nervous before I do interviews. But with her, because she's so dangerous, still is, I was nervous. But hey, I think we both did a good enough job. Thank you again.